Look, pillars and archways, all the same designs as the other places, and she's sitting on a foundation stone there, behind these pillars where the veil would be, like in the Holy of Holies again. Same representation. The Mother Goddess, Semiramis, Diana and Child, the False Mary. Oh my goodness. And once again, you see IXXI, which is Roman numerals for 9/11, on the cup. The Frankists and other secret societies, there is this belief that they need to fill up this cup of sin, make people turn to bad, which you can see happening, in order to provoke their Christ to come, which they think is the real Christ. But that's their belief. They believe they need to fill up this cup of filth, this cup of abomination, as we're told about in the Bible, that will happen. The cup of abominations that will bring judgment upon the world. But they believe that they're going to get this Christ is going to come. But we know it's the Antichrist. It's Nimrod from the days of the Tower of Babel. And this cup of abominations. So here we are at the Trevi Fountain, and even here, you know, if you just look on the corner of this building, you can see that yet again IXXI 9/11 Roman numerals for the gate, and right above the IXXI is that same sun child, the black sun, in the centre of two wings, the birth of the Antichrist. I didn't even realise this was here. I used this picture in a video the other day. That is Apollyon the Destroyer. Mars, the Roman god of war. And we've got that same representation of the Holy of Holies type thing, and him raising out of it Apollyon the Destroyer, the Antichrist. That is not Jesus. I don't think it takes much to work out that that's not Jesus.
our coverage this morning of Pope Francis in America with Nora at the White House. Nora?
Thank you, Gail. You know, Pope Francis is also going to celebrate his first Mass in the United States, and that is at the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. Now, he is the third Pope to visit the Basilica that is on the Catholic University of America campus. And Chip Reed is there to show us what to expect this afternoon. Chip, good morning.
Well, good morning. You know, around here, most people simply call it the Shrine, and it is a beautiful building. It is the largest Roman Catholic church in America. In fact, they're expecting about 25,000 people here this afternoon to see and hear the Pope celebrate Mass.
Additionally, and perhaps even more important, there's a significant section of CERN that is built upon the St. Genus Poili, which is a commune in Ain, a department of France. In Roman times, the St. Genus Poili was called Apollyon, but the town and a temple were dedicated there in ancient times to Apollyon, the destroyer, the Shiva Horus, if you will. Apollyon is also the angel of the bottomless pit, referred to in Revelation 9:11. And then there is a connection seclorum on the Great Seal of the United States. The New World Order begins during a time of chaos, when the earth and the oceans are tottering, a time like today. This is when the Son of Promise will suddenly arrive on earth, Apollo incarnate, a pagan savior, born of a new breed of men sent down from heaven when heroes and gods are blended together. This sounds eerily similar to what the Watchers did during the creation of Genesis 6 giants, doesn't it? And why many believe that Antichrist also represents the return of the Nephilim. But to understand why such a fanciful prophecy about Apollo, son of Jupiter, returning to Earth should be important to you, in ancient literature, Jupiter was the Roman replacement of Yahweh. As the greatest of the gods, he was a counter-Yahweh. His son Apollo is a replacement of Jesus, a counter-Jesus. And this Apollo comes to rule the final New World Order when justice returns old Saturn's reign. Now this ancient goddess Justice, who returns Saturn's reign, Saturnia Regna, the pagan Golden Age, was known to the Egyptians as Mat and to the Greeks as Demas, while to the Romans she was Lustitia. Now statues and reliefs of her adorn thousands of government buildings and courts around the world, but especially in Washington, D.C., where she stands as familiar Lady Justice, blindfolded and holding scales and a sword. She represents, according to the prophecy, the enforcement of secular law, and is, according to this Sibyl's conjure, the authority that's going to require global compliance to the zenith of Satan's dominion, concurrent with the coming of Apollo. What's more, the Bible's accuracy concerning this subject is alarming, including the idea that pagan justice will require surrender to a satanic system in a final world order under the rule of Jupiter's son. In the New Testament, the identity of the god Apollo, coded in the Great Seal of the United States as the Masonic Messiah who's going to return to rule the earth, is the same spirit, verified by the same name that will inhabit the political leader of the end times New World Order. For instance, according to key Bible prophecies, the Antichrist will be the progeny or the incarnation of the ancient spirit of Apollo. 2 Thessalonians 2:3 says, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition." And this is the Greek word Apollia, Apollo. Revelation 17:8 likewise ties the coming of Antichrist with Apollo, revealing that the beast shall ascend from the bottomless pit and enter into him. It says, "The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition." Apollia, Apollo. And they that dwell on earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is." End quote. Among other things, this means that the Great Seal of the United States is a prophecy, hidden in plain sight by the Founding Fathers for more than 200 years, foretelling the return of a terrifying demonic god that seizes control of Earth in the new order of the ages. This supernatural entity was known and feared in ancient times by different names: Apollo, Osiris, and even farther back as Nimrod, whom Masons consider to be the father of their institution. The priests of Baal to call louder because he might be sleeping. Of course, I can only speculate, but I note the connection between Nimrod, Apollo, and Abaddon, Apollyon at CERN, and the history of the region are all highly curious. Apollo was worshipped by the Romans of that area, as well as the Greeks and in central France. Apollo was equated with the Celtic god Omerus. These two characters were combined to create Apollo Omerus, which can be translated as great horseman or possessing a great horse. In the Celtic belief, horses were closely related to the sun. The interesting thing to note is the connection between this idea of Apollo being associated with horses in France, where part of the LHC and CERN resides, and what the book of Revelation states about Abaddon, where it says, "And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon." End quote. I also note that Revelation chapter 9, after describing how these devil worshippers will be judged during the Great Tribulation period, it ends in verse 21 saying, "Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries," which is the Greek pharmakia, "nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts." Now, pharmakia is the word that describes the ancient occultic effort to use mind-expanding drugs during rituals in order to open a doorway for making contact with unseen supernatural entities. So, given these descriptions, is it possible that CERN will have something to do with the opening of the bottomless pit described in Revelation 9?
So, as always, notice the veneration of Mary, or the goddess Diana, that goes on here. In these images, the goddess Diana can be seen standing on the moon. And in some in particular, she's not only standing on the moon, but she's also trampling on the head of the serpent, which is not the prophecy that was given in the book of Genesis. The Latin Vulgate renders it so Mary is the one trampling on the serpent, but as we know, in the book of Genesis, the prophecy is that Jesus Christ would be the one to trample on the serpent. And this veneration of the Mother Goddess is all around here, in this place. You've got the A and the M combined together to represent Ave Maria, or Hospice Maria, and those two letters combined form IXXI, which is Roman numerals for 9/11. So it becomes pretty obvious when you see the symbols and their layers of meaning that are shown within Roman Catholicism and the Jesuit order. But what is most poisonous and detrimental is the fact that these religious groups and orders cover the true gospel of Jesus Christ. They preach a false gospel and a false Jesus. And this is why I make this video today, to try and reach out to those who are trapped and stuck in this paradigm. I mean, the amount of anti-biblical issues you could name in Rome is tremendous. But central to this is the denial that salvation is by grace through faith alone, not by good works, so that no one may boast, and that Jesus Christ is the sole mediator between us and God. No Mary, no goddess, no pope, nothing or no one can forgive us our sin and reconcile us to our Creator than by faith alone in the finished work of the God-man Jesus Christ.